What's the number one thing that you could be doing for your email marketing to improve data and performance? And it's so super simple. It's segmentation. And that's exactly what we're going to get into today. If you're new here, my name's Andrea, and I'm the founder of a digital marketing agency called Dia Creative. And we are here to help you grow your business, whether it's e-commerce, food, beauty, pets, travel, etc. That's everything we help with. And if you want to know what kind of results we get, this is what we did in the first 30 days with a brand new brand just by creating 5 new flows. And if you want to see that for your business, make sure to click the link in the description and set up a time to talk. Now, let's get into the content. First and foremost, let's make sure we differentiate between a list and a segment. A list comes in automatically or is uploaded from a source. You should not be re-uploading anything that already exists in your system. Lists should all be new subscribers that are either gathered from a POS system, from your e-commerce site. If you have a live event, you can upload them. Make sure you have their permission to email market to them, because that is something that all of your email marketing platforms are going to request. Segments, on the other hand, should be created within the email platform itself and should be segments of those lists. What I've seen is a very common mistake early on is people will take their lists, download them, segment them offline in their Excel or their Google Sheets, and then re-upload them as a new list. But that should not be the case. Most email platforms, especially sophisticated ones like Klaviyo, Iterable, Braze, will have very detailed ways that you can segment out your lists, that you should be able to do it all within the platform without having to export and re-import. Exporting and re-importing just ends up creating the same people over and over and over again, which means you're now paying for more profiles in most platforms, and it's really inefficient and ends up mucking up your whole email marketing platform. So know the difference between lists and segments, and make sure we're creating segments, not more lists. So first and foremost, I'm going to show you how to create a segment. So if you jump into your Klaviyo as an example, down here you have audience, click on lists and segments, click over here on create new, create segment. This is where you're going to name your segment. So let's say, for example, you want to do a VIP segment. We tend to name everything with our name, especially with any brands that we inherit from other people, just so that we know which segments are created by us. So it might be like VIP, anyone that spent over $500. Tags are typically only used if you are a larger organization and you want to break out different segments by certain tags. It's completely optional. Klaviyo has since updated how they do segments. Now they have this AI option here where you can start typing in exactly what you're looking for. So what we're looking for here as an example is somebody that has or has not done something, because if they are gotten to the VIP section, it means that they have spent $500 or more. Other ways that you can do is like always add this can or cannot receive marketing, because this one ensures that you are only sending to people that have officially opted in. And you can see we already have a pretty decent segment there. We want to narrow this down. Now that we know that our list at least includes everyone that we are allowed to email to, let's narrow this down even further. So we're going to add a condition, and this is going to be that someone has or has not done something, because we want to get to somebody that has spent at least $500. And then here, because we're connected into our Shopify, we're going to click revenue, which is a Shopify automated data point that comes in. And then revenue is greater than 500. And then we don't need overall time, not just in the last 30 days, because this would basically be creating a segment where they've spent at least $500 in the last 30 days, but we want overall time. We want to include everybody. And now this is a segment that's been created. Now you'd create this segment and you can see that we are down to 250,000 people that have spent over $500 overall time. At this point, you would just click create segment, and now this segment is created and you can start sending to it. Now let's go through a couple other example segments that you can create here with this add condition. So you can jump in here. Remember, let's do and, so that they can receive marketing and they also have done something. One other thing that we can do is if you want to send an email to anyone that has opened or has not opened the email today. So typically, if we're getting a little bit aggressive, or especially around Black Friday, we might send an email in the morning and an email in the afternoon. But if somebody's opened the email in the morning or has recently placed an order, we might want to exclude them from the second one. So here you can say specifically they've opened an email at least once in the last, let's say, 1 day. So this right here would get us to avoid sending to anyone that has opened the email at least in 1 day, so that we will only be sending to people. These type of segments are super important. These are exclusionary segments that you would use when you're sending the email. This would be under your exclusion list, because you really want to make sure that you are not over sending to anyone. So segments can both be used for who you send to and who you exclude from your lists. Another good one you can do, someone's proximity to location. We tend to use this particular one when we're working with food companies that have retail locations. So if we want to send an email specifically to someone that is within 20 miles of a certain postal code where we know we have locations they can go in, it's like if there's a local Target or a grocery store, that's what we would use this one for. So you just put in your mileage and you put in what postal code in what country. Someone is or is not on a list. This one we don't tend to use too often. This is just if you want to segment somebody out. GDPR is important if you are sending globally, so make sure that you are following GDPR rules with those sends, but this allows you to send a more US-centric email that is a little bit more lax on that and exclude anyone that is in the EU so you don't have to run into any sort of legal trouble. Properties about someone. This one is interesting, especially if you have enriched your data within Klaviyo, because here you could put in special interests, you could do birthday sends, you can get very narrow as to who you're sending to and why and how. So that's what this refers to. So you just need to see what options you have in here. And then you could put in what the value should be, and then you could send a very specific email to somebody in a very specific case. So for example, if you want to send an email to everyone who has a February birthday, put in here birthday month, February, and then everyone gets an email, which is great. Now that I've walked you through how to create this in Klaviyo, let's go through some of the most important segments you should have. One segment you absolutely need to have is your hyper engaged segment. These are people that are actively engaging with your emails. These are the people that are going to help get you out of any sort of deliverability slump. And these are the people you can rely on to engage with your brand in a more important way. So hyper engaged last 7 days would be anyone that opened an email and clicked on an email in the last 7 days. If you're looking for, if your click rates are down and your open rates are down, this is the email segment you send to improve your overall stats and the overall health of your account. Another very common segment you'd be creating is anything that is related to a specific product. So if you have a back in stock campaign that's going out or something very specific to a product, you want to send this to anyone that has viewed the product on your site in the last 90 days. So anyone that has showed interest in that product in the last 90 days, so you can send them an email that further encourages them to purchase. This is also a good segment that you could use for flows as well, but for campaigns, this is really effective. Remember, segments can be for who you're going to send to and who you're going to exclude. It's very important anytime you do any sort of sale email that you exclude recent purchasers to ensure that they don't call you up and ask for an instant refund or discount because they missed the sale they purchased just before it. So we always put in an exclusionary system. About 14 days seems good because by then they've already received their product, and so then they feel less justified to ask for a refund or a discount. Leaning into personalization, the next segment I want to talk about is leveraging demographic and location data. You could create emails that are custom to the area of the country, to the weather. We worked with a brand that was selling umbrellas and slickers for kids. And so we were building out emails specifically and watching where there were major rainstorms to send emails that are very relevant to those people in that area. This would be an example where we want to send something specifically to Canada. If we want to celebrate, Canadian Independence Day and send out an email to them, let's get very narrow. And this is a great way to send more personalized emails in a ways that feels a little bit more like we are there with the specific customer and we understand them. As I showed in my example, the next important segment is your VIPs. So placed an order at least once over all time, can receive email marketing like I showed you, and the revenue is at least $500 over time. Create your VIP segments in ways that make sense for your business, and you can create multiple VIP segments. This is another way to build out a loyalty program without actually having to commit to loyalty. So you don't have to get points or anything, but you can create certain VIP segments where they get offers or campaigns just because they are in this VIP. Potentially you have live events that you only want your people that have spent over $1,000 on your store, over $500 on your store. This gives you that opportunity to build those VIP relationships in a unique way. As a bonus tip, I want to walk you through one other set of really important segments that you should be creating, which is breaking out your list by ESPs. Now you could send an email to, let's say, your entire engaged list, but you can then break out that engaged list into different ESPs. So your Gmail users, your Apple users, your Microsoft users, your Hotmail, your Yahoo, etc. This test is super important to do at least once a quarter, if not once a month, based on the size of your list. We create these segments by ESP specifically for a deliverability test. Now, this is how we discovered last year that Apple started opening people's emails. Now, Gmail's been doing this for a while. We suddenly saw a spike in our open rates, but just with Apple emails. This showed us that Apple is opening the email to assess whether or not it was spam, junk, promotional, etc., so that it can automatically sort it. Gmail's been doing this for a while now to automatically, that's how your emails end up in promotions folder versus a social folder or whatever, because they're opening your emails. So from a marketer's perspective, you're suddenly seeing your open rates skyrocket. And you're like, wow, we're so amazing at our jobs. And actually you haven't changed anything. That's why it's so important to be doing this when anytime you see any sort of aberrations in the data, or at least quarterly, do a ESP check on all your lists. We used to have to do this individually, which is what I'm showing you here, where we had to send out each email multiple times based to each of these lists. But now in Klaviyo, when you set up a campaign, you can do that by sending out to multiple lists and actually see how that performs. Let me show you how that works. Now, here's an example where we created all of these different segments as an example. And you can do this, like I said, with your ESPs, or this was where we were doing an actual engagement test. So we were testing out which engaged segment is actually still engaged and how often do they convert and what is the conversion value of that. Now you can see you can send one campaign to all of these different lists. And when you click into that campaign, you'll see what your results were. What you want to go to here is audience breakdown. Here, what you could see what we were doing when we had our ESP list. For example, we had Gmail, Hotmail, Apple, and we saw our Apple open rate was nearly 100%, which is not possible in reality. But here we can see that our non-purchasers, our active non-purchasers, while we did get quite a good open rate and a decent click rate, they had a low purchase rate, where our existing customers, people that have purchased in the last 60 days, were actually our top converting, even though they don't necessarily have as high of an open rate as our prospects do. So looking through these stats helps you dig in to get better data. And that's why segmentation is so important. It gets you much better data and it allows you to personalize your email campaigns even better. And that's it. Now that you know the number one thing that you absolutely should be doing is segmentation, you can improve your deliverability, you can improve the way you personalize your emails, who gets what, and you can understand your data better and how different groups interact with the exact same email, further improving how you personalize. Now, if you want help with all of this, we are happy to do that. We are Dia Creative, and our link is in the description below so that we can get to know you and understand how to best grow your business. If you want to learn more about email marketing, we have some amazing videos. Definitely check out our 2025 e-commerce email marketing tips video. That one will walk you through everything you should be doing. It's a long one, but it's got a lot of really good, juicy information. So make sure to check it out. Thanks for watching.